Thank you very much. Thank you for this morning. A lot of inputs go in the same direction as my input, so we put emphasis on this all. My proposal to reflect on what we have heard and experienced during this Congress is that what we feel is more of the reality than what we know, think, or analyze. We have heard on our first plenaries how chaos is part of our lives forever, no matter how much we try to control things. We have been reminded that all living, nature in itself, evolves between waves of construction and destruction. This invites us to think that for humans, coming out of chaos by rebuilding new goals, new visions, is as natural as breathing, and that destruction can be creative. The tension of a dilemma in crisis times can become dynamic and source of transformation. We have overviewed the impact of global changes on people's mindset and how the diverse sources of stress generate problems on personal and collective levels. We have been showed how our society is one of a limbic capitalism, driving us to run after immediate satisfaction and more consumption to escape and forget about discomfort. We have also explored how our test services are always more a necessary response for people, any people. Each one of us is susceptible to go through crises in our lifetime. That's for sure. We are all human beings, and therefore we all suffer from time to time. You probably agree that we are vulnerable today in these times of trouble, and that we need to have someone, some space to be listened to. I'm deeply touched, for example, by the absence of the Iran helpline in this Congress because of the overwhelming situation in the Middle East. But I'm also touched, and I have in mind all the countries and people in war, hit by natural catastrophes, living in deep insecurity. And I wish that we can emphasize on the importance of our services to reach out to anyone in despair. And some other countries not here today work very hard in that sense. We offer time and presence, availability and a warm welcome to listen unconditionally to what needs to be shared. And this is in itself already amazing. For the future of the test services, we need to increase our presence. This presence which is calm, serene, open, to offer space to connect through listening. Because connecting as human beings beyond all the differences is what test services exist for. I believe strongly that listening recreates the links that we are missing, recreates the feeling of integrity, coherence, dignity, where all this has collapsed. The test services can dedicate to spread and democratize the listening skills so that they become more and more accessible and available everywhere, so that more and more people can increase their abilities to sustain pain, so that more and more people learn the benefit of listening to others, but also to be listened to. We do some of that already, and we can grow more widely in that direction. I see how important it gets to offer spaces to experience more and more closely, more physically, often this posture that helps to reconnect to oneself and to others, not only to prevent from mental health problems or mental health troubles, but to strengthen mental health among all people, from all ages, all backgrounds, so that we have better resilience capacities to cope in times of adversity. Contributing to develop everywhere possible times and space to experience deep and authentic listening should be a purpose of our services, and could be. Modernity and its load of new technologies tend to make us forget that we have a body, but we are incarnated in blood and flesh. Our heart, our breathing, and all our perceptions are here in our body, always with us. Our real connection to the world lies there, the closest, the most intimate, but also the most difficult to reach. I wish we could give some thought to that and work toward physical spaces for experiencing listening together, collectively. For that vision, I would like to mention the work of François Roustan, who was a French psychoanalyst before starting to develop hypnosis. He expressed how important it is to learn to listen to our body from our body. Our physical body is the first level of impressions and sensations, the first one to know what is happening, and our best teacher. The locus of all modifications, he said. In this sense, he is joined by a young philosopher called Baptiste Morizot, who explains in his book called Ways to Be Alive how we have totally lost connection with the sensitive part of our being, the one that allows us to feel united to the environment, connected to our ecosystem. He also insists on the urgency to restore our capacities to understand and learn from the vision of our physical home, an organism within the larger ecosystem of our natural environment. Both express how urgent it is to recover from our insensitivity and to come back into our bodies, the base of our grounding, core of the most fundamental stability, the center from which we can really reach out to others. And here is what François Roustan says as an ending to my speech, because I think it's very strong. He says, it's easy to understand why the sense of touch, the sense of our body, specific to living beings, is the locus of modification. This can be shown in several ways. When we remove the control of our consciousness and intellect, we give free rein, not to be unconscious, but to a sensitivity that shakes the flexibility of our habits, our habitual apprehensions of things and beings. In times of difficulties in crisis, we tend to fix and develop some rigidity and narrowness. In other words, we're unwell because we can't see, hear, and feel. Our situation in existence depends on too many factors for us to be able to apprehend them all in an effort of explicit intelligence. In one way or the other, intelligence is always too one-sided. The solution to our problem lies outside, in a new apprehension of our situation. To do this, we need to let everything around us come to us, open, By immersing ourselves in feelings without reflection, we learn the fineness and the insight of feeling. This feeling, typically of the living world, is first a matter of letting all the data blend together and then of waiting for everything to find its place again, from chaos to a new order. This happens because the feeling is that of a living being and therefore of an organism that, when disturbed for a moment, returns to its point of equilibrium. We have lived 4 days, wonderful 4 days together with intense feelings, connections, and sharing experience. We go back to continue to contribute to a more connected, serene, and humanized world. Growing and spreading listening skills is how we do it, and maybe as the new medicine for the 21st century. Thank you for all the organization and the warm welcoming of our artists and the translator, and thank you for listening.